I use it for relaxation and to as a form of mental recreation. It helps me see the world in different ways than I see it when I'm not smoking. But the reason that I feel that I can say that is because I don't smoke a lot. I smoke only maybe once or twice a week at the most, because I think that if you smoke all the time, well, for me, smoking all the time would not work because I don't have chronic pain. So maybe you don't want to talk to me because I'm not. I was given the prescription because of a what did he call it? Mental disorder. I've probably been taking antidepressants on and off for the last 10 years, so I've been experimenting with different kinds. And that's if a person has a brain chemistry that doesn't function normally. That's what what they need to do, is to find a medication that works well for them, and that takes time. And so Lexapro has been wonderful for me. Dr. O'Connell recommended that I smoke more often and give up the antidepressants, but I don't feel that that would be beneficial for me, because I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Because I guess smoking is a much more intense experience than the antidepressant, because the antidepressant doesn't have the synesthesia type effects that marijuana can have. As in synesthesia, I mean it increases the intensity of color and sound, and almost any experience becomes like a Zen experience for me. It's like I can really concentrate and become involved in any sort of experience, and I basically can do that without smoking. But when I do smoke, it becomes even heightened beyond that. And maybe that's part of the reason that I have to take antidepressants, because that's kind of my brain chemistry, and I tend to do that naturally, and sometimes that can interfere with social interaction. I think I do use it in a ritualistic, religious manner, because I do have a little box that I use, and part of smoking is the ritual that goes along with it. I have a beautiful box that has a lot of meaning to me, and the pipe and I have been together for a very long time. It's almost like an animate object rather than an inanimate object, and it sits in its box in a certain way. And there's a ritual to lighting it up, and I have a candle. So in some ways, it's become more of an individual thing rather than a group experience. Although I like being with a group. It's not, probably with a group is more of a social experience, whereas when I'm alone, it's more of a spiritual, religious experience. I feel like with joining this group and with getting a recommendation, that I've basically come out of the closet. You know, I've always been a smoker, but at some level felt ashamed of it, because it's not socially acceptable, which is, I think, a terrible thing. It shouldn't be that way at all. And so I would, you know, I didn't share with people. Well, I still don't share with people unless I am close enough that I realize that they will be. Share that I smoke, unless I know that I can trust them, because it is still not socially acceptable and it is still illegal. But now I no longer have this feeling of this bit of shame that I used to have. And that's very liberating for me, because it's not shameful. It's not shameful that I enjoy smoking. No. But for a lot of my life, I did feel that it was, and I felt apologetic about it. You know, I'm also angry because, you know, in the late 60s, early 70s, it felt like that it was going to become socially acceptable. And then the Reagan administration and you know, Nancy and her anti-drug message and keep your children off dope, and I mean it made a total about face. It seemed like that it was opening up and we were working toward normalcy.
That's what it became.
What's the
It was normalcy, it became normality. You're right.
And thank you, Nancy and Ronnie. And well, I guess that was the 80s. You know, it seemed like that we were all evolving, and then all of a sudden we went through a period of de-evolution. Hence the band Devo.